In the world of musical theater, few roles are as iconic and demanding as that of Eva Perón in Evita, a role that requires not only vocal power but immense emotional range, stage discipline, and charisma. So, when it was recently announced that Rachel Zegler had been cast in Jamie Lloyd's upcoming Evita revival at the London Palladium, the news didn't land with the thunderous applause one might expect. Instead, it stirred a hornet's nest of controversy. The announcement, which came months ahead of the production's scheduled run from June to September 2025, instantly sparked skepticism, mockery, and even outrage, not just from musical theater fans, but from within the entertainment industry itself. To understand why this casting announcement has ignited such intense backlash, we have to rewind a bit, to Rachel Zegler's now infamous run of PR disasters surrounding her role in Disney's upcoming Snow White live-action remake. Originally hailed as a rising star after her breakout performance in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story, Zegler's public image has since been marred by a series of interviews and comments that rubbed audiences the wrong way. Her promotional tour for Snow White became a case study in how not to market a legacy IP. In multiple interviews, Zegler criticized the original animated film, mocking its romantic themes, downplaying the prince's role, and labeling the classic love story as outdated. In one widely circulated clip, she called the prince a stalker and insisted that Snow White wouldn't need saving this time, proclaiming that the remake would be a more modern take. While the intention might have been to signal progressiveness, the effect was quite the opposite. Online communities responded swiftly and harshly, with many accusing Zegler of disrespecting the very foundation of the character she was portraying. Memes flooded social media, parodying her interviews, and editing her comments into sarcastic montages. The backlash was so severe that Disney quietly delayed the film's release by over a year. Early test screenings reportedly fell flat, and industry analysts predicted a box office flop even before the movie hit theaters. Rumored to have a bloated budget nearing $170 million, Snow White became a looming liability, with insiders whispering that the studio had already written it off as a loss. Early projections placed its opening weekend earnings below $50 million, and leaks suggested that its IMDb rating hovered around a disastrous 2 out of 10. The film was criticized not only for its tone-deaf PR campaign but also for its awkward narrative identity, caught between trying to reinvent the classic and appeasing modern sensibilities without satisfying either. Then there was the casting drama. The original 7 dwarfs, long considered integral to the Snow White tale, were largely removed and replaced with magical forest beings of varied genders, sizes, and ethnicities. While this change was likely made in the spirit of inclusion, it backfired dramatically. Advocacy groups for people with dwarfism condemned the decision as performative and erasing, rather than progressive. Instead of celebrating diversity, many felt Disney had bent over backwards in a way that alienated both traditional audiences and the very communities it was attempting to represent. So, when Rachel Zegler was revealed as the new Eva Perón in Jamie Lloyd's Evita, the announcement wasn't a fresh start, it was gasoline on an already raging fire. Evita, after all, is not just any musical. It's a revered piece of theatrical history, immortalized by the likes of Patti LuPone on Broadway and Madonna on screen. It's a role that demands gravitas, vocal control, and political nuance, attributes that many critics feel Zegler, at least publicly, has yet to demonstrate convincingly. The online response was immediate and scathing. Fans of the musical and seasoned theatergoers alike questioned the casting choice. Threads on Reddit and theater forums dissected her perceived lack of maturity and questioned whether she had the emotional bandwidth to convey the complicated arc of Eva Perón, from a starry-eyed social climber to the beloved but controversial First Lady of Argentina. Others raised concerns about her alleged on-set behavior and public persona, warning that Zegler might bring a disruptive energy to a production that relies heavily on ensemble cohesion and professional discipline. These concerns didn't stay confined to fan speculation. Industry insiders began leaking troubling reports from within the rehearsal process. According to several unnamed sources close to the production, Zegler's behavior behind the scenes has been less than ideal. Rumors of tardiness, clashes with director Jamie Lloyd, and diva-like conduct have swirled for weeks. One source claimed that she frequently walked off stage during blocking rehearsals if she disagreed with Lloyd's vision. Another alleged that she refused to harmonize during ensemble numbers unless she was guaranteed a spotlight moment. Others accused her of going off script and improvising lines during key scenes, a major red flag in a tightly structured show like Evita. This tension reportedly reached a boiling point during a closed-door meeting between Lloyd, producers, and legal representatives. Insiders say her contract is now under active review, and while no official statement has been released, producers are allegedly exploring backup casting options in case the situation deteriorates further. For a show that hasn't even opened yet, this level of crisis management is virtually unheard of. Despite efforts to suppress the leaks, the damage appears to be done, both to the production's internal morale and its public reputation. Ticket sales have been lackluster, especially for a show of this scale at the prestigious London Palladium. Premium seats remain unsold, and the production team is reportedly considering early discount options just to fill the house. Theater critics and insiders have begun referring to this phenomenon as the Zegler effect, a cautionary term for how one performer's controversial image can sour an entire project before it even launches. The deeper question looming over this entire saga is why Zegler keeps getting cast in high-profile roles despite public backlash and growing industry doubts. Critics have described her trajectory as a case of failing upward, pointing to a pattern of behavior that would likely derail the career of a less media-savvy or well-connected performer. Her defenders, however, argue that she's facing disproportionate scrutiny, that young actresses are often held to impossible standards, and that internet pylons can distort perception. But even the most sympathetic observers admit that the leaks from Evita Rehearsals, if true, suggest more than just a media smear campaign. The issues with Snow White and now Evita raise broader questions about how Hollywood and theater productions balance marketability, wokeness, authenticity, and audience expectations. Casting decisions today are often driven as much by social media metrics as they are by raw talent or fit. But when those decisions backfire, they can tank an entire production's chances of success, both critically and financially. In the case of Zegler, what began as a promising career arc is quickly becoming a cautionary tale of overexposure, misaligned branding, and unchecked ego. Adding to the unease is the stark contrast between Jamie Lloyd's artistic vision for Evita and the reality that seems to be unfolding. Lloyd, known for his raw and minimalist reinterpretations of classic works, reportedly envisioned a stripped-down, emotionally honest revival that could reintroduce Evita to a new generation. But with Zegler at the center, that vision is increasingly being overshadowed by drama, distractions, and PR nightmares. Rehearsal reports paint a picture of an unproductive, tense environment, a far cry from the creative synergy needed to bring a complex production like this to life. Financially, the producers now find themselves in a no-win situation. Replacing Zegler would be a logistical nightmare, costly, legally messy, and PR sensitive. But keeping her could doom the production's chances at the box office and tarnish Lloyd's reputation. Industry veterans point to previous cases where actors were replaced quietly before opening night, but rarely with this level of public scrutiny. Some close to the production have reportedly expressed regret that Zegler was cast at all, admitting that they underestimated the baggage she would bring. The legacy of Evita is now in the balance. For many fans, it represents one of the great musicals of the modern era, a work of political depth, emotional grandeur, and artistic precision. The fear is that this new revival will become more about Zegler's tabloid headlines than Eva Perón's dramatic arc. Already, her official press release for the role, filled with self-congratulatory language and little reverence for the show's history, has been criticized as smug and tone-deaf. To many, it read less like a love letter to the theater and more like a resume bullet point. At this point, all eyes are on Jamie Lloyd. Will he stick by his controversial casting choice and try to salvage the show under increasingly fraught conditions? Or will he make the difficult call to part ways with Zegler in an effort to protect the integrity of the production? Either decision carries enormous stakes for the future of this Evita revival, for Lloyd's career, and for the public's trust in high-stakes theatrical casting. In the end, this isn't just about one actress or one role. It's about what happens when branding eclipses artistry, when controversy overrides credibility, and when audience fatigue turns into active rejection. Rachel Zegler may yet have a long and successful career ahead of her, but right now, she stands at a crossroads, caught between opportunity and implosion, talent and tantrum, spotlight and scrutiny. Whether Evita survives this storm remains to be seen, but one thing is clear: this revival is no longer just a musical, it's a spectacle of reputations, power, and consequences.